It's these two guys. These two guys. It's these two guys.
Hey, George Henry here.
And Larry Richardson.
What do you got there?
I got some documents here. I'm trying to read through the...
Oh, you read what? It's all blackened out there.
Yeah,
What?
it's not...
What's going on?
I don't know. I can make out nothing.
Nothing.
It's redacted.
It's redacted. Well, I wonder what our subject will be today. Anyway.
I do see the name Epstein in there. That's about
yes,
it.
it's these two guys. I'm George. He said he's Larry. Yeah. And first and foremost, let's get you to like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Get you on our list there, and let's grow this thing exponentially as this is episode 25, believe it or not. 25. We've been doing this.
Yeah.
Half a year.
I do want to give a shout out to one of our viewers, Monica.
Okay.
She very avid watcher. She did give us some nice comments on the last podcast
I did see that, yeah.
in AI. So just if you're watching, Monica, we got something for you. Stay tuned.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I've had a couple people ask me when we're going to do our bourbon and stogies.
Ooh, let's see. I'm still recovering from the last one.
Yeah, I just reposted some of our outtakes from that, and I tell you what, it was such a fun time.
That was hilarious.
I don't know that Terry will allow us to use his bar again. He said
No.
it smelled like smoke for 2 days.
Yeah, maybe. We'll figure something out. We'll fumigate it before we leave.
But as you may have heard, if you haven't heard, your head's in the sand. The Department of Justice released a whole bunch of new Epstein files that have been redacted and heavily redacted.
Heavily redacted.
And, you know, like I said, I'm not going to take sides one way or the other, but you got to ask yourself. I ask myself this question. Are they doing this on purpose because they were appointed by the president, the head of the FBI and the head of the Department of Justice, or is this their standard procedure for doing this?
Yeah, and that's a good question because, you know, some of the things that are being reported that were redacted really didn't need to be redacted. Like these are things that everybody knew. There's certain conversations. Now I can see redacting the victims' information.
But we know the majority of the victims already. They've all come out in force. They stood together behind microphones, you know, and talked about how they wanted justice.
They wanted justice. Now there are a few, and this is speculation because I'm not 100% sure how accurate this are. There was one lady who just came out and said that she had requested that her name stay redacted, and apparently in one of the documents it was released. And now people are figuring out who she is, and you know she doesn't want that media press, or anything, which I think is kind of weird because we still don't know who it is. So what kind of media?
Yeah, what kind of media press has she gotten?
Is she got if we don't know who she is?
Yeah.
So
it kind of makes sense though. But so the media has issued statements like thousands of more documents have just come to light that need to be redacted. Now, where were these documents beforehand? If they just came to light, where were they?
There's a lot of weirdness with these documents.
Yeah.
Exactly. Were they just put on ice for the last, 6 years? They just sitting there? Or no one did anything with these documents? Like, why are they just now coming to light? I would imagine that Epstein, being who he is, getting, sent to jail in 2019, even though he died in 2019, at some point, someone would have been combing through these files to do something.
A long time ago before that. But as we learned from some of the research we did, pretty much all investigations stopped upon Jeffrey Epstein's death, which makes you wonder, did anybody know that all the investigations would stop upon his death?
Yeah, that is very suspect. Except for Ghislaine. They went after her. They continued the prosecutory process with her.
Yeah.
But no one else, even though now we're hearing that there's co-conspirators, 10 of them, I think they're talking about.
Yeah.
But yet it stopped. Why?
Yeah. And, of course, we had the gentleman who was in the video with Melania's documentary director who killed himself in France when he was under allegations of, finding and getting trafficking women for Jeffrey Epstein. So he died in jail by suicide, strangely enough.
Yeah. Suicide.
And I know there's people out there that just like, yeah, he did. He committed suicide. But I just, maybe I watched too much TV. Maybe I watched too many movies. But, the cameras were broken. The guy was out to lunch or, whatever. Missing time.
Yeah.
It just, I'm sorry. I don't buy it.
When things don't add up correctly, it's always a Dean Koontz or Stephen King type moment, right? Because too many variables, too many things that will actually happen perfectly for it to become a conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, it's too perfect to be a conspiracy.
It's too perfect to be a conspiracy, but it was enough of it to make it. Well, now the conspiracy theorists have something to work on too, right? Because now you have the missing time, you have the, and the letters where I'm not suicidal, I don't plan on dying, which I know they're discrediting some of those, but was he suicidal?
I don't know. He beat it once before, and he certainly, had the opportunity to beat it again, if it had gone through trial and everything. I'm sure he wouldn't have, with all the evidence that came out about that. But he certainly, stood a chance of maybe seeing, free air one day. I don't know.
Yeah. And he apparently had enough powerful friends, which may be the reason why a lot of stuff slipped under the radar for so long.
Well, and why a lot of stuff's redacted probably too.
Yes. Yeah. And what was it, Prince Albert? No longer Prince Albert?
Was it Albert? What's his name? It's Fergie's husband, Prince, what the heck's his name?
It's not Albert?
Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew, not Albert.
Prince Albert, that's something totally different.
He's in a can.
Yeah, he's in a can. Unless
Prince
you have
Andrew.
a Prince Albert, and that's something totally different.
If you do...
we don't want to know about it.
No, we do.
No, we don't want to know about it. We don't want to know if you have a Prince Albert.
So he's completely dethroned and everything. His family's thrown him completely
And
under the bus.
Fergie, of course, Fergie was in some of the Epstein files too, so I'm guessing that, maybe they were in it together. I don't know. She obviously, I would think if I'm somebody's spouse and my spouse is involved in something like that, I'd be out of there.
Yeah.
I'd be gone, makes you wonder, what really goes on behind the doors, like that. But anyway, so, Congress recently passed a law that said they had to, the Epstein transparency law, that they had to release these files. They had until I think it was the 10th of December to do it. It was a Friday.
Yeah, it's a Friday.
Yeah, they didn't get them all out. And then, of course, the first thing that everyone's going to complain about on the left is that, well, you didn't get it all out. You should be held accountable. You should be held, in contempt and all this stuff. And it's like,
Now on the right, they're going to say, well, you guys didn't do anything about it the last 4 years or last. So they're going to, So you're going to, no matter what, you're not going to make everybody happy on this one.
No, you're not. And, and we're certainly not, I'm not willing, I don't know about you, I'm not willing to take a side on the right or wrong of it because there's still just too much information out there. There's still so much we do not know about these files.
And the way they're being released, I think there's going to be a lot that we still won't know. I mean, if they're not releasing them all when they said they were going to, now we're getting documents that are redacted. I think initially there was no search function on the DOJ's website in regards to the file. Now there is, so you can actually search particular information. There were some PDF documents if you download them.
Tell us the story about the PDF documents.
Yeah, so apparently some of the documents, they're editable PDF documents. If you edit a PDF document and save it as redacted, someone else can grab that same file. If you don't encrypt it, you can grab that same file and just copy and paste the text over and it'll remove the redaction. So a lot of people found that and they have been unredacting a lot of these documents.
But they haven't been reposting them, or they have been?
Some of them are posted.
Yeah.
There's a lot that are posted, but like I said, the ones that I saw, the information were really kind of like nothing burgers. I mean, the stories that some of the stuff that was behind the redaction just didn't make any sense why you would redact that information.
Maybe here's a conspiracy for you. maybe that was purposefully done like that so that someone would find them, be able to unredact them and see that there's nothing in there.
Could be a red
You know?
herring.
Yeah, red herring. It's
Yeah.
trying to, push you off in a different direction so you don't.
Well, the DOJ is definitely underestimating the diligence of American people, the tenacity. They're going to find a way.
And again, you've got an FBI director that, had a personal relationship with the president. You've got Pam Bondi, who is the, head of the Department of Justice, who she was his lawyer at some point. The question remains is, when you surround yourself with people that are loyal to you,
Yeah. You're gonna get different treatment.
yeah. And again, Trump's not the only one who's ever done this. So this is not just about, this is not anti-Trump, because other people have done it,
Oh yeah.
The Bush administration's done it. You put people around there that you can trust and that, that are going to, hopefully follow the law and the Constitution. But, when you got things to hide, maybe you want them to follow you.
That is true. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
I always look at it. I mean, this whole thing, once the files are released, it goes back to our previous story when we covered the Epstein Files earlier on. I'm still more concerned about those who are really looking for that Trump got you moment as opposed to looking for justice for the victims.
Justice for all, yeah.
Justice for all.
And criminal charges for all,
Yes.
not just,
Yes.
yeah.
Because I don't care who's in there. If there's something in there that's concrete that points them to, the acts that Epstein did, then I don't care who it is. Trump, I don't care if it's, well, you don't see Biden's name in there. Biden's not in there. Clinton's in there.
When you got
Bannon's in there.
And you got Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew. Those people, if you got something, they need to be prosecuted, and there should be no prejudice about it. They just need to go to jail.
Yeah.
They need to go to jail or suicide themselves, whatever they're going to do. But I think a lot of people are really just caught up in the Trump moment.
Yeah,
And
they want to nail Trump, so
want-
they want to see something that implicates Trump.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, that's not the right way to go.
No.
The way to go is to release everything, let the Department of Justice, unfortunately this Department of
their
Justice,
job. Yeah.
let them do their job,
Supposedly, yeah.
and find these people who committed these crimes.
Yeah.
Because you've got two handfuls of victims at least that we know of, and the ladies, that were young girls at the time. One who's no longer with us, who died, and who knows how many other children or young girls were involved in this as well.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely stinks of a major cover up. I mean, I can see if all the victims were gone, right? Then you wouldn't have that tether between them and their abusers.
Mm-hmm.
But they're alive. They can point, they can look at pictures, it shouldn't be a 6-year long investigation for this. If well, actually not 6 years, because I think the allegations go back early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
right, for most of these girls.
Or 90s.
In the
Some
90s.
going to the 90s.
Yeah. I think the earliest report for their civil cases was 1996, I think, was one of the first ones that came out, I think. But
Well, I saw an article today that had a report about Jeffrey Epstein in 1993, and I didn't read the whole report, but it was just that was the earliest date I had seen.
That was
on
that
any
the 11-year-old
documents.
girl, I think.
Possibly, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, this guy is, from what I've seen, he's slipped through the cracks from the 70s and the 80s. Like, that's as early as accusations came out on him. I think the first civil case, I think, was, like I said, the 93 or 96. There were some cases back then. You guys can look those up. There's obviously information out there. But this guy has slipped through the cracks for so many years, so many decades. It's scary. It is scary.
Now, also being a member of the media, I find that the media on both sides is doing the same thing that the Congress is doing. One side, wants to implicate Bill Clinton. In fact, the first round of documents had more information about Bill Clinton in it than anybody else.
Yeah.
And then the second round of documents, had more stuff in there. But the media, I think, is doing the same thing, and I think that's lends to some of the complaints about bias in the media. Is that one side wants to see, Trump, massacred for this. The other side wants to see, liberals and Clintons,
Yeah.
not just Clinton, but any Democrat. I mean, even Trump said, "Give me the names of, find all the Democrats in there and release all their names." It's like,
Yeah.
well,
It's the whole thing is scary because you look at. I try to watch media from both sides. I watch Fox News. I try to watch the way and I pay attention at how the news is presented.
right. If you listen with a critical mind,
You'll see things.
you'll be able to,
Yeah, and so when they say that Clinton was mentioned or Trump was mentioned doesn't necessarily mean they partook in anything.
Right.
And now I noticed that they all have that little legal disclaimer. I don't know if you caught the little legal disclaimer they all mention now. Just because they're mentioned and such does not mean that they actually did anything.
Right.
And they're all repeating that.
Yeah.
Both sides, both liberal and conservative media outlets are all repeating that because I know they don't want to get sued now, but they'll still throw the message out there that this person's been mentioned. These pictures are out there. This person's been mentioned so many times. Mention doesn't really mean anything.
Well, and again, that's one of the things that was noted in the information that was given out is that there's no smoking gun against anyone in particular at this point. But it also begs the question, and maybe it's fear, why these ladies have not named names. Why the victims have not named names.
Or why if they have, and that's the other weird thing. People are still talking to these victims. They're still out there talking in the media, and they're pushing for justice themselves. But why haven't they actually said? It's almost like they all have like a gag order themselves that they can't say certain things because they band together. And this is just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not understanding what happened in the background. But they band together. They've gone on television. They've go to these crowds and they go to these rallies. Why aren't they just creating their own list and saying, "Hey, there's this guy. I've seen this guy. This guy.
We don't know that they haven't, though.
Yeah, we don't. And that could be some of the documents in there that just hasn't been released. But they could still tell us, hey, we gave names.
Mm-hmm.
We gave names. They're out there. And then that would definitely force Pam Bondi to be like, okay, well, now we know that there is a smoking gun out there and you guys aren't releasing it or you redacted it. But I would imagine that they would bring to the media and to the world's attention that we gave all the names.
So Bondi and the Department of Justice, one of the things they say is, one of the reasons for all the redactions, victim protection, which we already kind of discussed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. Privacy law. I don't understand what the privacy law, how that comes into it.
Victim protection, yes.
Yes,
that
I get
kind
that.
of thing. But
I get that.
Yeah.
And then legal constraints. So if all the legal adjudication has stopped, then what are the legal constraints? Because nobody has been prosecuted, they can't release their name, or because nobody's been prosecuted, they can't, give out the information because it would unfalsely bias people against those names in there.
I mean, that's what
the innocent until proven guilty kind of thing.
And see, I think there's kind of a mob mentality with a lot of people, and that might be part of the concern because if, you're guilty in the social circles, you're guilty of the crime, period. And I think that might be one of the reasons why they're trying to exercise control. But they're going extreme ways of doing it. But
seems like it.
Yeah, they're going completely way left field and right field, any field. They don't want to piss anybody off, but they're going way out of the realm of what's logical in this sense. I mean, if people are guilty, they want the files released. The victims want the files released. If everybody wants the files released, just throw them out there. And the guilty parties, they need to suffer. They need to pay.
Well, the interesting thing is this, according to the media and according to some of the documents out there, this was not just Jeffrey Epstein, like you said, 10 more people. Mm-hmm. This was a pretty big network.
Yes.
And yet, other than Epstein Ghislaine Maxwell, and Prince Andrew, nobody else has been named.
No.
Nobody else has been named except for the French guy who killed himself. But nobody else. That's it.
Was when the other guy, the head of, was it Princeton, Harvard, Larry Summers?
Not familiar with that.
He's the guy that stepped down, Larry Summers.
Oh, okay. That was because of that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh, well.
Time.
Yeah. Larry's gonna look that up and check it out. In the meantime, so no newly confirmed perpetrators have been publicly identified. No charges or indictments have resulted from the release of the materials. Of course, it hasn't been out that long, and you know how long these investigations take. And some investigative leads are referenced but remain redacted. So they're not telling the information to the public. Somebody's reading these files. Somebody is getting the information there and saying, oh, we need to black this out. And we may or may never know who this is. To me, this is on the scale of, you know, the Warren Commission, JFK.
Yeah.
You know, we got to keep this secret. We can't let the public know what's really going on. And who knows how many years or decades, even if in our lifetime, this will ever be, you know, totally seen through, totally come through there. One FBI intake report contains an unverified allegation involving Donald Trump. Now, I'm not going to get into that because, again, it's an unconfirmed, unverified. There's no witness. There's no information. There's been no prosecution. So as far as it's concerned, it's a moot point at this point. So it doesn't really matter, although a lot of people are looking to get this information so that they can put, you know, Trump in that circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you find out anything?
I did. So Larry Summers was, at one point in time, he was the executor of Epstein's will.
Oh.
Between 2014 and 2019. Of course, he was not part of the final will in 2019. And he was the president and head of Harvard University. And his only connections with Epstein at some point in time was there was a lot of personal communications, but really what nailed him was the seeking dating advice. There were certain questions that he posed to Epstein, I guess, post him getting the first sexual.
You want to get dating advice from Jeffrey Epstein?
He wanted dating advice from Jeffrey Epstein.
Holy cow.
And-
Jeffrey Epstein didn't date. He
did.
kidnapped and held captive.
Yes, he did. So since then, Larry has stepped down from all public circles and media outlet and everything that was related with work. He just basically disappeared.
Larry, come on our podcast. Tell everybody.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you have to say. He said he was deeply ashamed of maintaining contact with Epstein and is stepping back from public engagements to rebuild his trust.
Ah, sort of like the Kiss Cam couple
Yeah, yes.
from the Coldplay concert. Ah, that's just... this whole Epstein thing is unnerving, though. You know,
Yeah.
because you count on your government to be forthright, you know, to be above board, to be above suspicion. You know, that's what we hope for,
Right.
you know, in our country.
And they're definitely painting a bad picture of themselves because it seems like there's more loyalty to the president than it is to the people. Is what it is the optics that they're providing.
Yeah.
You know,
And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they are, you know, judicially going through this and looking at this and planning something. But I guarantee you, anybody in these higher up positions that takes a contrary position will not be there long.
no.
I wouldn't expect them to stay in those positions for very long.
Well, Don Banducci, I can never pronounce his last name properly. He's leaving, I guess, because of this whole thing as well. Like he feels that Pam is not doing her job properly, and she did state that she was going to release those documents. She was going to get them all together, and they were going to be deleted. Now they're looking for volunteers to help with redaction
Oh, I'll
So
do
they
that.
can-
You want to go help volunteer
I'd
redact?
volunteer to do that.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to get my eyes on those unredacted files.
I'm going to find some fun with Dick and Jane references and actually just black those out as well, because it seems like that's what they're redacting.
Yeah.
Just like stupid stuff.
Stupid stuff that doesn't really matter. So the current DOJ has described the allegation, talking about back to Trump, unverified, sensationalist, and they emphasized intake reports are not evidence. So, if you can call up and make a complaint about somebody, whether it's true or not, it's not evidence.
No, and it has to go in the files.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss that. They think because it's in there that it's a credible information and something was actionable and never took place.
Right.
If I call the FBI right now and tell them that you and I plan on shooting each other, it has to go into a file somewhere.
Right.
And it has to be documented and it has to stay there. It gets a number, it gets put there. It doesn't matter if we're obviously not going to do it, but if you
Let's hope not.
yeah.
I mean,
no, life is good.
yeah.
But I mean it would
Right, it would
make
have to
those-
go in a file.
it have to
Yeah,
go in a file.
because if it ever comes back and they didn't put it in there, someone will go, well, you knew about this
Yeah.
ahead of time. But
So yeah, you're always going to have those, and whenever you have an anonymous source, the scrutiny is definitely going to
Right.
be, we're not going to really action this until we have something that's actionable. And
again, the investigation stopped in 2019
yes,
when he died. So they said, wow, there's no reason for us to move forward.
now they did say a lot of these other documents did become they became aware of that were released or put away prior to the 2020 elections, right before the 2020 elections. So that's another thing that kind of creates a lot of conspiracies, is that these newfound documents that were for some reason submitted right before the 2020 election. And that's where the folks on the right are looking at that as like, well, why was it put in just at that time when Epstein had died the year before? What's going on? Well, so I don't know about that. Again, that's probably something that's out there that's redacted, but you do your research on that one. But they're
And
saying,
again, was the benefit so that Trump would be reelected for his second term, or was the benefit so that Biden wouldn't be implicated in something? I mean, you have to figure out what was the reason. Obviously, people on one side will say, well, Trump was trying to get reelected. He didn't want all this information out there.
Right. And that's what would have held it. Or, I mean, it can be the other way as well. It could be that they were hoping to release that information prior to 2020, hoping that sway the votes toward Biden away from Trump, because the Epstein would have been brought up, numerous times. So it could go either way. I don't see. I still can't for the life of me. I don't understand. Like you said, there's definitely something happened after Epstein died.
Yeah.
Everything stopped. But there was no push, at the end of Trump's first term, because I think he got arrested and convicted during Trump's term. And then nothing happened during Biden's term. And then now there's like a big push for the Epstein files. But justice still seems slow. If we've had all that data,
Right.
why was...
And you have to wonder why there was no push during the Biden administration.
Yeah.
Why was there no like concerted effort to get this thing rolling
Yeah.
when they had 4 years in office to do that?
And
That's where conspiracy theory comes in as well. Is like, were there people in there, high-powered people in there
right.
that would, suffer because of it? Because you got to think of all the political money that goes through Washington and all the political power that is yielded with this money. So that makes you wonder who's in these files that are influencers in our government that aren't necessarily political figures.
Yes.
They're financial contributors. They're PAC money donators. They're,
They're kingmakers.
kingmakers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder who's involved in that and who's going to come out of it. And I'm willing to bet we're going to hear some names down the road that we're just going to go, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That are involved, that we're just not going to believe that they would have been involved.
I mean, and I'm glad that the mob mentality that's out there isn't as bad as I kind of feared they were going to be, because poor Chris Tucker would be done right now too.
Oh my.
Chris Tucker shows up on there. I mean, there's like all these people, and his response didn't help him at all. It's like, I didn't even know I was on with Bill Clinton, and here he is looking right. It's a picture of him looking right over at Bill Clinton. You need a better PR person, man, if you're going to say, I did not know that was Bill Clinton.
Well, then there's also the idea that, if you're a celebrity, even with me, and I meet so many people every day, and I meet people that other people know are important in business and stuff, and I don't know because I just meet them. I don't go into their stories and everything. Oh, you know so and so? Like, no, I don't. Of course, Bill Clinton's kind of one of those ones you shouldn't miss.
Yeah, everybody should know Clinton.
Yeah, everybody should know that one by now.
And so lawmakers are criticizing missed deadlines and document organization. Victim advocates express frustration with the limited amount of clarity with the documents are being released, and the DOJ denies political motivation and defends its process, which I don't know. Is that defensible?
Well, again, I'm finding it really hard to stay middle of the road in this. I really am, because it would be like if you became president and you asked me to be, your Secretary of State, and you say, George, you might see some things that you might need to turn your head on. Are you okay with that? And I'm, yeah, sure, Larry. Yeah, we're buds. So, you can't not think that. I mean, if you're sitting out there and you're not thinking that, or you're thinking there's no way possible that could even be an option or something that's happening, then your head's in the sand. I don't care. And it has nothing to do with just Trump. This is in any situation.
Any situation, yeah. It's not a left or right thing.
No, it's not.
That comes from a position of power, and if you held that much responsibility, you're going to want people underneath you that's loyal. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just natural to think that way. But when you look at this whole situation, there's some cracks there. Something's not right. It's not right. It's not right from Trump's first administration when all the arrests and everything happens. It wasn't right during the Biden administration because we had 4 years of literally nothing. And now with Trump, we're getting stuff, but they're like nothing burgers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're getting nothing really. So I think it's completely, whatever's going on, it's not a Republican or Democrat or independent thing. There's something bigger that's going on. There's more power behind it than the kings. It's the kingmakers that's being protected.
And I think as time goes by, I'm hoping that we'll see, more clarity as time goes by. I'm not sure that we will.
I don't, looking at cases today, legal cases that's out there in the politic world, everything seems to drag on. Everything is dragging. There's always indictments. There's always these, Senate House hearings and things like that, and then nothing.
Well, and there's also the idea of we can impeach a president,
but he can still stay the president.
I can still say the president.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened with Clinton, happened with Trump,
Yeah.
And it's just like, and we sit back here, and this is one of the most frustrating things, is we sit back here and we wonder why nothing's getting done.
Right. Yep.
Now, aside from let me ask you something, because aside from the Epstein Files, I had somebody, and I won't name the person because I know they would be upset if I named their name, so I'm not going to name them. But they said to me the other day,
Bob Hoskin.
Yeah, we'll call him Bob. Yeah, but anyway,
we'll call him Bob.
But he said to me the other day, and this is a, I would say a very, very, very conservative. Now, if you want to turn that into very right, then that would be okay too. Said that they hate Trump.
Mm.
They think he's a dog. They think he's nasty. They think he's, a narcissist. Said all these negative things about him. And then they said, but he's getting stuff done. Mm. So my question to you is, and this is the one. Okay, so Venezuela, taking over oil tankers, blowing up boats in the water filled with cocaine and everything. Do you think that people would be saying the same things if this had happened under the Obama administration?
No, because it had happened under the Obama administration. He was at 240,000 bombings or something like that Obama did in enemy territory, and no one said anything. I think.
Do you think it's because of the way he's doing it, or his personal, his persona that is causing the negative?
I think a lot of that, but I think it's also, and this is going to sound terrible, and I would probably piss off a lot of people by saying it. I think there's a lot of hive mind mentality when it comes to these things too.
Yeah.
I think people think that, I mean, deportations, right? Let's look at deportations, for example.
A lot happened under Obama.
Yeah, way more so far. I mean, he's got what, 1.2 million, I think, under Trump. I think Obama was like 8 million or something like that during this term or whatever. But people are seeing it like as if it's the first time it's ever happening. And you see people going out and they're, ICE this, and I get it. I totally sympathize with the whole situation, but it's not like it's the first time it ever happened. No. Even though we had the hugest influx of immigrants come over during the Biden administration, he still did more there were more deportations under Biden currently than there is under Trump. But Trump still his first year, his second term.
Right.
So
he's still got time to catch up.
He still has time to catch up, and he's definitely ramping up to try to beat those guys' records. I think he's going to probably put a plaque in the White House for that too. But I think when it comes to Venezuela, he comes off as looking like a bully, but I don't think it's something that's new. It's not like something that didn't happen before. The drug boats being blown up, yes, I don't think that happened under Obama, but I know Obama did way more missile strikes than anybody else.
But I got to say, I mean, if these are truly drug boats, I have no problem with them doing what they're doing.
Right.
But again, so it's sort of like, blowing up a Coca-Cola truck, instead of blowing up the Atlanta, Georgia Coca-Cola plant.
Right.
Right. All you're doing is, one truck gets blown up, 3 trucks get through.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe he's positioning himself to go further into it, with the actual, bombing of the cartel facilities and stuff like that, which is going to cause a whole nother problem.
Yeah. I mean, he has designated them as terrorist organizations. So, I mean, I guess with that classification, the bombing of these boats are okay. I know that I noticed how the media twist that too, because I got into a discussion with someone about that not too long ago, and his stance was fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela. And I'm like, well, that might be true. And I know that he's mentioned, fentanyl, but they're still drugs. I think that's still, if they're drug boats. Yeah, I don't see where they're going.
What else would they be?
I mean,
that's the thing. I'm not saying they are or they aren't, but what else would they be? They're nighttime,
right?
Right. They're not doing it during the day. They're going at night. They're these long speed boats, and they could haul a good, probably 1,000 pounds each.
Oh, and those motors are at least 40, 50 grand a piece.
Yeah.
They got 5 or 6 motors on it. Like what fishing boat runs that configuration? Yeah. No center console, just a driver's seat, bunch of burrows, bunch of packages. You guys never seen a fishing boat? We can send pictures, post pictures.
There's a big difference between a trawler and a speedboat.
Go fast. Yeah.
And one thing I really liked, and again, one thing I liked, they asked Trump the other day. They said, "Well, what about the Venezuelan leader? What if he does something?" And Trump goes, "He can do whatever he wants. It'd be the last time he does something."
Yeah.
So I do like the balls on him. There's a certain percentage of me that says, I just wish his persona would match his bravado.
Yes. He is an arrogant ass. And it's hard to
like him.
It's hard to like him
when he's, and again, I'm glad that we're doing stuff. I really am.
Yeah.
And I've always said that under Bush, the whole Iraq war was about oil.
Yes.
I always said that. I mean, the Venezuela thing is looking now a little bit
Well, we
like
stole
it's
our
oil.
third boat now.
Is
Our
it three? We're up
I
to
think
three
it's
now?
3, yeah. And he's, we're going to keep the oil. And they're keeping the ships. They're going to reuse the ships.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
I feel like that was a bully move, but it seems like from what I understand, that first ship, I don't know about the other two. That first ship was not registered. I guess it was not supposed to be in international waters. It was not cleared for it, and something like that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Matter of fact, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I can totally look it up, but I want somebody to correct me in the comments. I believe there was some registration or some regulations that were off on that boat, and it had been warned or cited before, and it was like the last straw.
Right.
So it got caught. They took it. Nobody was harmed. Then I think the second one, I think there 100 people or something like that. I hear suppose they had died.
Oh, I did not hear that. But again, I'm not saying I'm against doing that. I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing, but it's the chip on your shoulder, I can't be touched way that he's doing it.
Yeah.
To me, that's just to me.
No, I agree with that 100%. There's a lot of things that I think when I look at his first year back, I went to the gas station the other day. I have to run premium in my car. It was $3.60 a gallon. I can't remember the last time I paid $3.60 a gallon for gas. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
Usually it's a little cheaper during the winter anyway, but
Well, it was $3.03 for regular,
yeah.
and so, and it was actually $2.90 something in Eugene,
Yeah.
which is usually cheaper here on the coast
Right.
than
right.
it is in Eugene. But Eugene, I paid $2.90 and then got 90 cents off, with my Fred Meyer
Fred
card.
Meyer's,
So I
yeah.
got down to $2 a gallon.
Yeah. You guys don't have a Fred Meyer's. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you.
Well, they have to have a Kroger, same thing.
Do they do the gas thing though there?
Kroger's Fred Meyer.
I know, but
Yeah.
they do the gas discount too? Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah. You got a Kroger card. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our refrigerators stocked with eggs, which it always, even when they were expensive, I can't go without eggs and bacon, so it always stayed stocked. But it was, a little belt tightening,
Yeah.
prior. But the eggs prices are coming down. I can't say the cost of living is really, I'm not seeing the impact of tariffs. I've known people who've purchased things.
Depends on what you're buying.
What you're buying, right. So
Yeah.
if I buy locally sourced things, I don't get hit with the tariffs. Sometimes I do see savings. And the way things are reported, you go in like drones, right? If I was to go buy the drone that you can't buy anymore because now those are also fully banned, the DJI drones, you will pay a tariff if you were to get those drones in. It'll be tariff to death if you get it. Even if you get ones that are allowed to be imported in the United States, you would still have to pay a tariff on it.
So here's a personal observation, and again, I have no evidence to back this up, but I'm going to say from my own personal, and I've said this since Nixon was president. All right, since Gerald Ford was president. Let's go with Gerald Ford. So I was a little young for Nixon. So with Gerald Ford, I personally have not seen a significant change to the plus or the minus during all the highs and lows that have gone through all the administrations. Mm-hmm. I have not noticed one year when I was worse off than another year, or one year where I was significantly better off than another year. I mean, I'm staying in that, that mid-range of, I can still afford my eggs. Right. I can still afford my gas. I can still afford my insurance. Didn't really notice any tightening. Was there a time when I didn't buy eggs? No, there wasn't a time when I didn't buy eggs. I might have bought the cheaper brand.
Right.
I might not have bought the farm raised or the free range ones.
Right.
But was never worried about. I just never seemed to be that positively or negatively affected by the economy.
No. And I didn't really get into politics until
last week.
Yeah, pretty much a week before. When Obama ran, and that was mostly because of family, As a black guy running for president, boy, you better learn your stuff, and kind of just thrust it into it and, read up on the guy. Now, I don't really notice like you, and I think it's because I'm not rich, obviously, and I'm not poor. And I think as long as you're conscious about the things you're doing in life, the way you're spending, making better choices, you probably won't see much of an impact.
Hey, you just mentioned something. I want to ask you a question now. You do not have to answer this if you feel like it'll get you in trouble.
I have to answer it.
Okay. So if you feel like this will get you in trouble, because you mentioned Obama, how do black people feel about people that are not considered fully black? Like if they have a white parent,
Well,
is there any like, they're not really, or they are really?
so coming from being a West Coast kid growing up,
You would probably have a different opinion.
than, yeah. I mean, if you look at like Spike Lee's movie, right? That one movie he did where they talked about high yellow versus,
Right.
I think that's more of an East Coast thing where, your complexion will kind of put you in a different sect versus other, dark-skinned or light-skinned black people. Growing up in California, I think is, still one of the most diverse states in the union. And I don't think that, really mattered. Like that never really came up. No.
Yeah.
I mean, and even like family, I'm the only child that's from my mother and my father. My two older brothers, different father, same mother. My oldest brother, different father. I didn't even know what a stepbrother was or a half brother.
They were just your brothers.
It was just my brother.
Yeah.
So we were raised very,
Conservatively?
very conservatively. Yeah. I mean, so it didn't matter to me if someone was darker or lighter or now I know some people who do feel that way. I have friends who think that way, but they are also from the East. They also have the East Coast mentality. So I think it might have been an East versus West. I could be wrong. If you guys are in the West Coast and you're watching this, let me know. Let us know what you think.
Well, because I think of things like, for example, people that are of indigenous heritage, even if they have a small percentage of them, 14% or 10%, they hold on to that.
Yeah.
Even if they're 86 to 90% Caucasian or Hispanic or, black, whatever the other part of their race is, they cling to that, that small percentage of that. And I wonder if that, if that holds true through all the different variances of that. I mean, again, it's just my white brain being inquisitive.
That's a good question.
Wondering.
It's a good question. I've never really given it much thought because I think it was just the way we were raised. We just never really, race was never even a thing. Blacks friends, Hispanic friends, Polynesian. I mean, everybody was just different people. I didn't know what being a racist was until I became an adult because we didn't see other people as different.
Right. And again, racism, and I think everyone will agree, it's not genetic. Racism is taught.
It's taught. Yes. Yep.
It's absolutely taught.
Yeah.
And, I was lucky. I came from a family who didn't really care one way or the other. Nobody said negative things, about any race. So I didn't have that, thinking that everybody was so different.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I became like a late teen, young adult, and I started seeing these different shows that depicted people in a negative way, and maybe at some point, got negative feelings about Hispanics or blacks or, the Irish. I mean, whatever it was.
Right.
Because you watch too much television. I'm blaming
No, I did notice, like I said, as an adult, I started noticing things. I felt racially profiled, getting pulled over a few times. I've had cops walk up to me and talk to me and say things that I knew was definitely racially motivated. And no speculation even needed in those situations. You just knew exactly where they were coming from, the way they talked to you. But yeah, I mean, even with Obama, I didn't really care if he was half black. I didn't care if Kamala was half black or, people are like, oh, well, she's not, because she's Jamaican and Indian, that's not black. You know what? Her skin was dark. She was black. That's the way I saw it.
And again, the thing, does it matter?
It shouldn't.
Yeah, does it matter? I mean, if you're able to do the job, it shouldn't matter
No.
what. And that's what gets me. I mean, because trust me, I not grew up, but I lived many years in the South. And pardon you Southern people that, but there's a lot of white folk who ain't got no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, who are worse than the worst gang people you could think of as far as being prejudiced against
Right.
something. And it just always blew my mind.
Yeah. I never.
The school I went to was prejudiced. The university I went to was prejudiced. I mean, they didn't let blacks in until the mid 70s.
Wow.
You know, I mean, they were a religious institution.
Why is that?
You would have thought.
Well, I was one of those inner city kids where they basically want the bus kids from the project to the avenues where the rich kids were. And I remember Ulo Elementary, I would say from my memory, all the kids I saw on the playground were kids from my neighborhood. Like I didn't remember black kids. I didn't remember seeing any other black kids that were there that I thought were avenue kids.
Right.
Every black kid I saw out there, I saw back in Harbor Road, right before school or after school.
In other words, there were no black kids naturally in that
No.
school to begin until you were put
Until
there.
we were bussed in, yeah.
until you were busted
Which, that's my memory. Again, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure there's one or two kids out there that had money that were black, but
Yeah.
different strokes or whatever. But
Well, in my recollection, we only had 3 families. We had the Deal family, the Burton family, and one other family that were black in my high school, and that's Catholic high school. But yeah, I remember Donald Deal. He was just one child. Then the Burtons, there was 3. There was Christine, Charles, and their older sister. I didn't know she left before I got there. And then the other family, I remember them from playing football, but that's all I remember. I don't remember their names. Didn't really get to know them. A lot of Hispanics though.
yeah, we
In
had
my
a lot of
Catholic high
Hispanics.
school in Tucson.
I was going to say I saw my first stabbing at high school, but then I would have totally went down the whole path of race stereotyping. You
Oh,
say
no,
Hispanic,
let's
and I
not.
think knife and stabbing.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't mean to come out that way.
I know white people stab too.
Yes, yeah, all stab. Apparently, everybody's stabbing now.
But back to let's finish up on the Epstein thing, just to come full circle here. I mean, what do you think? You think this is going to get more exciting, or you think it's pretty much?
I think both parties are building up for excitement that's never going to happen. I think that, this is what I think the media should do. This is my thought on it, so we can make it not so political. Any communications that the media need to be doing should be focusing on getting justice and the victims. That should be it. We don't say who's mentioned, whose pictures is here, this date, that date. You got people these 10 co-conspirators, you got people that the victims have mentioned. That's what we want to hear. If I don't want to comb through 300,000 documents just to say that, Epstein called Tom Hanks and said, "Hey, bring your own toilet paper when you fly on a plane." That means nothing. So now all of a sudden we're going to start,
Wait a minute, was
terrorizing.
that a thing?
No, but
Okay.
it might be. It might be redacted.
I was going to say, because that'd be really bad if who was also a multimillionaire with his own jet made you bring your own toilet paper.
Yeah.
That just seemed weird.
But it's something that probably would be redacted if it was
Yeah.
in there. But it's
Right.
like, do we really need to hear that?
And again, along with the media thing, let's base it on fact.
Right.
Let's not base it on conjecture. Let's not base it on an unauthorized or unsubstantiated comment that somebody made or claim that somebody made. If you really feel like there is some validity to some of these claims, prosecute, go out, investigate, find out what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there that's hidden in these documents. And again, I don't know if these guys are playing 4D chess. They're doing it just to keep, you can only redact so many documents before you stop or skip a 2 because you're being lazy. Maybe they're hoping that 1 or 2 get skipped over. It has some real.
Yeah,
good
I
meaning.
wonder about that. I wonder if oh man, I've gone through 50 of these. There's nothing in there. I'll just skip the next 10.
Yeah, let's skip next 10. Yeah, I'll go. And then there's something in there that probably is worth something you're not seeing
Yeah.
because.
But then again, if they skip 10, do they redact the ones they skipped? Or are they just, oh, well, I didn't,
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably would.
I mean, there was one about there was something about car driving from one spot to another spot and stopping to do. It's just weird. Just it's like again, Nothing Burger, and it's redacted. It makes zero sense. It didn't mention anybody. It didn't put any dates or times. It didn't put any victims' names, any perpetrators' names. It was nothing. But somebody had. This is one of the people who had learned how to unredact these PDF documents. I read a paragraph, and it's just like this is absolutely nothing. Like, why would they do that?
I still want to know who the other names were. I mean, if that's sensationalist of me to want to know that, but I still want to know. Let me say, I want these people to be brought to justice.
Exactly. That is same here. I don't care. I don't care who people are hoping to see in there. I don't really care when I see these pictures of Clinton or Trump with Epstein. I know in my mind that's like a psychological push to try to build up. If you're on the left, you're totally looking at Trump. And these pictures could have, like the one they have him with the beauty pageant people with their faces blotched out, and these are grown adults.
And they're beauty pageant people. So you're going to see them.
Yeah.
You can go find their pictures anywhere.
Yeah, it was already posted, but it was released as, propaganda.
Miss Tanzania, Miss, Venezuela even.
But I think psychologically it works on people because I've had friends that will post that picture over and over again. And I'm like, you guys are posting this picture, you're spreading it, but you these are not Epstein's victims. Like, why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. And then the same thing with the people on the right. They see Clinton in these pictures, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, there's a picture of him laying back, and I see comments. People say, "Look at his eyes, look at his eyes." He's just in ecstasy right now. It's like, man, why are you feeding into people's psyche, and just creating this psychosis of?
Well, and I'm going to take a different line than that because while it doesn't mean anything, while it doesn't show anything, it means he was there.
He was there, yeah.
He was there, and guilt by association, is that something that's fair to say? I mean, it's different if you're at a party and you're shaking hands and you're talking that you're in a hot tub.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what that. I'm not saying that he's guilty of anything, but I'm just saying it's a different friendship. Well, it's a different level of friendship for some of those people than some of the ones that just were on his plane and, went to a party.
Or business associate. I mean, the guy dealt with billions of dollars crossing, hands, and of course, he's gonna have pictures with people again. Chris Tucker, and who else was on there? Somebody else, another celebrity just recently popped up on there. I think there's one with Tom Hanks, and then there's Bannon was on there. Steve Bannon, I think.
Bannon, yeah.
There's a picture with him in there, and then I saw a doctored photograph with a younger Hakeem Jeffries with Epstein. Whoever did that one, man, kudos to you. Because I first looked at that and I thought, I know it's not real, but man, if I didn't know any better, it looked like those two were. It's like the Weekend at Bernie's or something, and they just switched their heads over. But they did a really good job of editing it. But yeah, we can't have social justice. It needs to be really about the victims. It needs to be about the perpetrators. And they need to come to they need to pay.
Yeah.
They need to.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I will second that.
Yeah. I don't care who it is. I don't care if you're from the left or right. I don't care if it's your favorite person, your favorite actor, if it's your uncle or auntie, if they're on that list. If it's my uncle or auntie and they're on that list, I'm going to be right there with everybody else calling for justice. Doesn't matter. There's too many people. There's too many, lives ruined. And right now we're just playing politic games, and it's not fair to them.
Yeah. So if you made it all the way to the end, let us know what you think. Leave some comments down below. Were we too hard on one side or the other? I don't think so, but you can let us know. We certainly don't mind hearing that. We love a good debate.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And also, these2guys.com, we have a merchandise page. We'd love for you to go get a sweatshirt, Get a T-shirt, you know,
mug.
get a mug, get a water bottle container. They're really cool. They're not just They're not just pretty. They're functional. So we'd like you to do that because I'm paying $39 a month to keep our Shopify open, and I need you guys to buy something. Just go buy one thing. That's all. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. And if you're really feeling froggish, put something on it, one of our merchandise, take a picture, email it to Larry at These Two Guys or George at These Two Guys. We'll post it, we'll share it.
Yeah, we'll share it. Yeah.
And might even do a little extra.
Yep.
Who knows?
Remember, we're on YouTube, and you probably know that already, but if you clicked to this through our Facebook page, you're on our YouTube. At the top of the YouTube page, like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
And again, we thank all of our viewers. And again, a special shout out to Monica, who, you know, watched our video. It's clear that she understood the assignment. She gave us a very compelling response about AI. And that's what we like to hear. Someone just not afraid to go into that comment section and just speak your mind. I mean, it didn't cost her a dime. Monica, you can contest to that, or if there is something to contest to, or you can, you know, let us people know, hey.
Yep, that's true. And then Mike and Jay and John and Monica, as you said, and there's a host of others out there. We don't know your all names. Post your name in the comments so we can say hi and do a shout out to you.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks so much.
Guys, take care and Happy New Year's. If it's not already New Year's, if it is already past New Year's, then I hope you had a good New Year's.
And I hope you have a great 2026. Thank you.
Peace out.
It's these two guys. These two guys. It's these two guys.
Hey, George Henry here. Thanks for staying to the end. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go to our webpage, these2guys.com. Check out our merchandise page, our sponsor page. Send us an email. Give us some information on a show idea that you have, and let us know. And if you comment at the end of this episode here, we may just send you a free T-shirt, and we'll even pay for the shipping. So remember to like, subscribe, and comment. That's important.